Introducing the all-new Corolla.
After completing an environmental impact statement and a record of decision, or ROD, on the Guam military buildup back in 2010, today the Department of Navy has completed and released its draft supplemental environmental impact statement. Joint Guam Program Office Deputy Director Major Darren Alvarez says the DSEIS was needed because the ROD made no actual decision yet on where to place a live fire training range complex.
So since it deferred the decision, we automatically needed to come in and do a supplemental EIS. So we started that in 2012 at the beginning of the year. Shortly after our scoping for the ranges in February 2012, internationally there was a change in the laydown and the composition of the Marines. Between an international agreement between the United States and Japan, the Marine laydown was changed. It went from 8,600 Marines and 9,000 dependents that would be permanent here to 5,000 Marines and about 1,300 dependents.
Major Alvarez says two-thirds of the Marines will be rotational. However, their numbers will remain at 5,000. As soon as one Marine component is rotated off-island, another one will be rotated on-island, taking its place. So the DSEIS focuses on two major things. Number one, where to place a live fire training range complex. Right now, their preferred site is at the Northwest Field. And number two, where to place a Marine cantonment and housing area. Right now, their preferred site is at NCTS Finagayan.
All of that is presently federal property. So again, listening to comments that we received, DoD is trying its best to stay on its own footprint.
DoD received a lot of opposition to placing a live fire training range complex in the Paugat area, which would have required using both GovGuam and private property. A lawsuit was filed by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the Guam Preservation Trust, and We Are Guahan against DoD for not considering all of its other alternatives before selecting Paugat as its preferred site for a firing range complex. However, DoD may receive some opposition to selecting the Northwest Field as its preferred alternative as well, because it will require placing a surface danger zone over Fish and Wildlife's Ritidian Wildlife Refuge. We Are Guahan's Levin Camacho explains.
They've picked a site that is the only critical recovery habitat on the island for firing, for training on the machine guns. Part of the mission, and my understanding of the refuge, is to allow for the reintroduction of native birds and species like the koku, the Marianas crow, and without having that type of environment to put them back in, we're never going to get those birds back.
Our biggest concerns at this point is working with Fish and Wildlife to make sure that everything is going to work out, because that surface danger zone where it is at Northwest Field will overlie a portion of the wildlife refuge there.
We asked Major Alvarez what Fish and Wildlife thought of the proposed firing range.
Fish and Wildlife is not one of the cooperating agencies with the supplemental EIS. Unfortunately, due to either manning concerns or other reasons, they declined our invitation to become a part of that.
PNC tried to get a comment from Fish and Wildlife's Ritidian Refuge. However, we were told that they are not ready to make a comment at this time, as they are still reviewing the DSEIS. Meanwhile, Major Alvarez stresses that this is not DoD's final decision for where to place a firing range.
Now again, this is the preferred alternative. It is not the final decision. And it is possible from the preferred alternative, which is out today, from now till the final EIS, the preferred alternative could change.
Although it's not DoD's final decision, apparently Congresswoman Madeline Berdallo has already introduced legislation on April 4th to allow DoD to put its surface danger zone over the wildlife refuge. H.R. 4402 is called the Guam Military Training and Readiness Act of 2014, and it is to authorize the Secretary of the Navy to establish a surface danger zone over the Guam National Wildlife Refuge or any portion thereof to support the operation of a live fire training range complex.